And all right, we're connected. It says that Hangout on there is live. All right, so this is a long running code kata that I've been doing. This is live programming in F Sharp, volume 40. I honestly didn't plan to keep producing videos this long of me just talking over a mic as I'm solving problems. But again, this is a long running code kata that I've been working on. It's pretty much building like a Uber app, but this is more of an exercise for me to develop muscle memory, to practice domain driven design, and also me playing with this idea of specification as a library. When I say specification as a library, well, when I say domain driven design, I have two different domains: ride domain, account domain, that make up the solution or the business problem that I'm trying to solve, which, well, I partition it into two different domains. With your ride domain, I have a specification folder that has tests and a specification library. Same thing with the account domain. I have a specification folder in which I have a specification library and some tests. And this test consists of operations and some ubiquitous language. Here's an example of some operations before a ride module. You have a request price, request ride, cancel ride. Your during ride module, you have a request location. Your after ride module, you have a ride ended response. For your account, the operations that are defined here in your specification as a library, you have bank cards, and you also have transactions. For your bank cards, you could query bank cards supported by the application. You could query bank cards given a user account. You could add a bank card based on the user account, remove a bank card. There's a request page. That's pretty much it. Okay. So now I'm at the point where in the last video, I fleshed out the majority of the logic for entering a new bank card for an account. Um, However, after I add a new bank card, it doesn't update the UI. I'm not talking to web services. I don't have a database server. I don't have any of that. Initially, I want this application to run independently of any external systems. To accomplish that, I have a test API library that feeds data in not only to my unit test, but also feeds data into my application itself. I need to modify this test API to accommodate when I enter in a bank card that this application will render that recently added bank card onto its list of bank cards. So that's what I would like to do. I'm currently launching the application right now to demo what's been done already. Sooner or later, it should render something, right? And I expect this right here. Okay, so here's the quote unquote various bank cards that are registered. And this is just mocked out data, right? I implemented a remove here. So for example, I could remove, let's say, this MasterCard right here, like that. I could add a new bank card, and then I could say that the name is Scott Nimrod. Okay. The card type is MasterCard, and then I could just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. For a month, I could say it's going, or expiration month is 07, and I could say like 2023 for a code 234, something like that. Okay. What I want to do in this video, and hopefully I could pull it off, is I just want to, when I enter in a new bank card, I just want to hit the add button, and I want it to show up over here, right, in my list of cards. That's what I want to accomplish. So to do that, maybe I should review my account specification for operations. And so this add bank card is right here. That's the operation that should have been executed. Now, I just need to make sure that I need to identify the logic that handles that. And so there's a attempt add type that's a record that wraps around this add bank card operation. Shift F12 on that, and I'll see let me see, pull this up a little bit. My test API exposes a successful add attempt over here. Okay. And that just returns an OK with a validated card equal, and then this over here, not validated.card. Now, what I want to do now is, that doesn't really look right. Can I do something like this? No, you don't know what that is. Okay, let me see something real fast. If I go to F12, oh, this not validated card is right here. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to see where the successful add attempt is being referenced. And this is a test file that's being referenced in. Well, I don't want that. This is my app logic that is being referenced in. Okay. So in the file called dependencies factory, I have a create add card dependencies, and for the triad, it is assigned, this triad is an operation that serves as a property, and it's assigned to a mock.successful add attempt. Okay. What I want to do is, this is going to, let me see something real fast. This is going to return a successful operation or an error. What I ultimately want to do is, even though this returns if the operation was successful or error, I want to manage state. So if it's successful, I want to manage state of bank cards for an account. So to accommodate that, there's going to be some things that are going to change. Okay. My first thought is, right now this is called a successful add attempt, but I think I need to introduce the notion of a bank cards repository that will probably expose a add bank card and a remove bank card, and maintain the state of bank cards in memory, right? So what I mean is, I can probably, and this is test API, so I'm thinking that I could, if I kill this application right now, thinking I can Control Shift A for adding a new file and do a bank cards repository. Okay. And so I'll add that. And I think I want to move do I want to move this down? I'll keep this right here. This bank cards repository. Need to update the namespace to test API. Okay. And there's going to be this will be a type called bank cards repository. And this type will expose a member x dot add card. And this will be supposed to be a validated card, right? Validated card. Something like that. And the implementation details for adding a card is within this type, we probably want to expose, well, not expose to the outside world, but we probably want to declare, maybe for right now, a list of cards that will get updated by this class. So I could say something like cards equal, and then just say empty list. Okay. So then I can theoretically do a card like this and then say cards like that. Okay. And I need to indent this. And it says that cards is not defined. Well, you are defined, you're just a list. So then it says, well, it'll be helpful if you tell me what type of list I am, what this list operates on. So I said, okay, you're a validated card like that. Okay. I'm not sure if I have to wrap this in parentheses or not. I don't think I should. And so, oh yeah, you're a validated card list. And I got to put the list in here. Okay. Now what? We have a validated card list for our cards. And we have a card right here that serves as our parameter of type validated card. Oh yeah, I'm missing the semicolon right here. So I don't think I should have to do all this right here. I think I was just missing a colon like that. Okay, and that's fine. So this cards is going to be mutable. Okay. And so then we can say that cards is going to be assigned the result of adding a new card to our already list of cards. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, that may be okay. Next, we can say that we have a remove card. Okay. And our remove card is going to have a card in here, and we're going to take the cards that we have, and we'll say that our cards will pipe into a list dot filter that will take a function of that will operate on the card, and with that card inside this function, we will basically say return our list of cards. How does this work? It'll return our list of cards as long as the card that's currently in our function is not equal to the card that we want to remove. Okay, so you say C is not equal to card, like that. And that should be our remove card operation. And we assign our cards our filter, excluding this card. Okay. I think that's okay. Now what? Well, this is the bank cards repository. Okay. So, well, we need to figure out how to retrofit this bank cards repository into our, if I can go back, the successful add attempt, right? So now what? Well, how's that going to work, Willis? Well, I think we need to maybe up here. How's this going to work? Right now, this mock is a module. And I think I don't know if that's okay or not. All right, let's just go with it. There needs to be a let bank cards repository equal, and you can say bank cards repository. Okay. Now what? Well, if we go back to where we were initially, the successful add attempts, then I think I should be able to. How's this going to work? Change this now to say that. Let me see. Let me see. How do I want to do this? This bank card equals a function that takes some arbitrary parameter, in this case, account, and we take this other parameter, which is a not validated card, and in here we want to. Let me see how I want to do this. In here, we want to return a OK and then validate a card. Before we do that, perhaps we want to say bank cards repository dot add card, and we add our, in this case, we add our not validated card. Do something like this. We'll say let validated card equal validated. How do I want to do this? Equals validated card, which is of type internal. And I want to say that this is going to be a card equals that right there. I need to add a D on here. It says the value of constructor validated card is not defined. I'm in my mock. This should be okay. Let me see. That right there. So then theoretically, I should be able to say bank cards or bank cards repository add card, validated card like that. Okay. Let's try to provide clarity. And then I can say something like this right here. Uh-oh. Not validated card. No, it should be straight. Let's say validated card like that. So this added temp, that should be fine. Okay. So that was the added temp, which this repository should now maintain state. And what I need to do now is within this bank cards repository, remember after I add a card, I want to return back to my bank cards page and I want to observe the update of the recently added card. So this bank cards repository over here should expose another member x dot how you want to do this cards, and we want to say that this is going to be come back. This is going to be right now it's just a unit, and then we can do something like this and we'll just return a parts like that. Okay, now this repository, this bank cards repository isn't taking into consideration the user account, right, which in hindsight is going to require. Do I want to add that here? I don't think I really have use for it right now, but there's going to be a bank cards repository interface more than likely that this bank cards repository implements. And so this is all in my test API, but that interface will also need to be implemented in my, I'm not sure if it's really going to be in my actual domain library for my accounts domain, or if it's going to be in my AppLogic library. I have a hunch it's going to be in my AppLogic library that's going to be responsible for I/O, because I want my domain library to execute only safe code, meaning that it has no external dependencies, meaning that it's a controlled environment, meaning that it executes pure domain logic, and that's it. And anything that does I/O, I would like for it to be executed in the app logic over here. Okay. So because I identified that, now what? Well, then I guess I should go ahead and say it. It'll be an account. That's going to be a account. Missing a C. Account. Like that. Okay. And same thing over here. And I mean, this account's not really being used, so I could probably do a wildcard for right now. Okay. And this cards is going to take in account. Okay. And it's not really being used because all this is in my test API, right? So it's something like this. So now what? Well, let me make sure everything builds, and it should. We did a successful add attempt. Uh-oh, what's wrong over here? You didn't have a red squid. Oh yeah, because I just added account. All right, so we could say some account like that. Okay. Now what? Well, this is a successful add attempt. Okay. Well, there's a successful remove attempt over here, and hence we have a remove card over here. So you probably need to follow the same thing. Okay. So specifically, I want to have this line over here of, let me see how I can accomplish this. Something like this over here and say bank cards dot remove card. It's going to take some account and it is going to over here. This is a validated card here. So we say card and we say card over here. Okay. Now, do I really want to, in the successful, this right here is a not validated card. Okay. Now what? This okay is supposed to return a. Let me go back. This remove card operation is supposed to return a validated card list. Okay. So here, I should be able to say bank card repository dot cards, and I think it's taking some account. And is that it? I think that's it. And maybe I do something like that. Okay. Now what? I think that should be it. For removing a card. Is there anything else? Yeah, there is a. We want to just get the bank cards for an account. So if I go back to my operations, not for ride, but my operations for, let me close this account specification, account.specification operations, then there should be a query bank cards right here that takes an account and returns a list of validated cards. Else, if there's some type of issue with this reliance on the external system for querying cards, so we get an error description. So I want to see who references query cards. I hit Shift F12, and there's a la 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 la. Let me see over here. There's a query. Let me just go back to my bank cards query over here. And I think this is it. Okay. So now what? Well, we want this function to return a OK. This is still in my mock module. We want this to return a bank cards repository dot cards. Okay. And I think I just have to do something like this. Maybe not. Okay, so let's go back over here. Validated card list, if it's okay. And the cards over here is, oh yeah, you got to say some account. Okay. Now what? Okay. Now there's something else that I think is missing. What's missing is, all right, this is my OCD taking over. What's missing is, let me fix that real fast, is I need to initialize the application with the some initial bank cards instead of having to always, when I launch the application, add a bank card and then add a bank card every single time manually. I want this to assume that we already have a registered set of bank cards already. So what that means is, if you remember, I have this right here, some validated card, some other validated card. Okay. So what I want to do is, how's this going to work? When I bootstrap my application, how's this going to work? When I bootstrap my application, maybe I got to go to the view model for my account. And so account.view models, there's bank cards. Okay. What I want to do is, there should be an initialize method somewhere in here. Okay. And this initialize says account query. Okay. And that query is going to, is of type query bank cards. Okay. And if I drill into that, that is in my dependency. Okay. What I want to do is, I think I want to, in this initialize for the view model, how does this work? This view model probably shouldn't be touched, right? Because this is going to be actually used by the application. I'm thinking that maybe in the app logic right now, let me see something. If I control comma app.xaml.cs over here, this is a bank cards view model. Okay. There's mock dependencies right here. Okay. So if I do this is the mock dependencies right here. And I think this is where I want to, within this mock dependencies, I think this is what I want to do. Okay, so in here, how does this work? I'm not sure in the app.xaml.cs file, I should insert two arbitrary bank cards or somehow manipulate this mock dependencies. The query is right here, but this is just returning. I wonder. Let me see something real fast. Could I? Am I allowed to do something like this and then hit semicolon? And what I want is I want to be able to perform some type of operation in here. Actually, you know what? Okay, I got it. We are going to do this over here. And before we return back that record, okay, that's how we're going to do it. We'll say, I'm still within my mock. I'll say bank cards. Let's start over. Bank cards repository, and I'll call add card. Okay, and it's supposed to take, I think, some account, and then some, I think, validated card, and then I'll call add card again, and it should be other card. Can I do that? Some other validated card. Okay. So that's going to initialize the bank cards. So theoretically, when I launch the application, these cards should already be registered so that when this query is invoked, it's going to return these cards. When I add a card, this query again should rely on the state that I have, which is bank cards repository. And it should return, in this case, we already have two cards that are registered by at the beginning of the application when it launches, hence the bootstrapping process. I add a card for testing, and then after I add the card, it returns back to the initial page of bank cards, and I should observe the added card along with the two other cards that were provided during the bootstrapping process of launching this application via mock.dependencies, which is called in this app.xaml.cs right here when spinning up this bank cards view model. Okay. Now let's see if my theory works. By attempting to build a solution, so it's trying to build Bill succeeded. Let's try to run the application now. It's attempting to deploy. Attempting to render the application. Let me lower this down here. Let me continue. Okay. Now let's see if this works. I say new card, and I say that I'm Scott Nimrod, and that I'm doing a discover card, and I add some stuff in here. Okay. Expiration month, say 2. Expiration year, say 22. We put in the code. All right. Now what? Do add. It should give me. Shoot. I was expecting it to give me 3 items, but it's still 2. Why is that? Why is that? What just happened? Let's find out. Let's go. Actually, I think I know. This page, when we return back to this page right here, this page, I don't think. Well, no. How does this work? More than likely, this page isn't being refreshed because the observable collection that this page relies on in this view model isn't receiving a notification of a new card being added. That's probably what's happening. Okay. So what? I think there's probably 2 approaches to solving this. I can have my bank cards view model subscribe to a card added event, or whenever I return back to the view model, I think there's a method called on appearing or something. Whatever event, not event, with whatever method handler is responsible for when a page is being rendered again or being navigated to again, it should probably invoke its view model.initialize. So 2 approaches. Subscribe to an event for adding a new card, and it'll update its observable collection. Or when returning back to this page, I don't know if it's on navigated to or on appearing, whatever the name of that method handler is on the XAML in this case, CS file, which I think I'll have to add that protected method to. It should reinitialize the view model. That view model initialize method should query the bank cards again. I think I like that approach better. All right, so now what? Let me kill this. And in this account dot UI, there's bank cards right here. There is how's this work? Let me figure out how to do this. I think there's, let me figure out how to do this. Xamarin Forms, on navigated to? Is this it? Let me see how they have this. I thought this was an override on navigated to. On appearing. Okay. Yeah. So theoretically, I should have something like this. And there's no squigglies on here. So then I should be able to say that I don't want to do this. I need to say that you are going to have a view model that is called bank cards. Okay, so I have a bank cards that's supposed to be a view model. So I can say account dot view models dot bank cards like that. Okay. And I can say this is a view model. Okay. And then I can say that on appearing, your view model equals the binding context as, well, do I even have to say that? I guess so, because binding context is an object. So I say as view model bank cards. Okay. And then I should be able to say view model dot initialize. Okay. Now what? Well, if I go to bank cards, that initialize is this right here. It calls query, and things should just work from there. Okay. So let's try this out. And which, yeah, let's try this out. Now, my concern is this initialize is going to be called 2 times. And the reason why it's going to be called 2 times is because in my app logic, which I can't find right now, let me go back to my app logic up here. In my app logic for this bank cards view model, I think I'm calling the initialize down here. Okay. So what? No issues. There is an issue. If I delete this right here, then it's up to all my unit tests to to call this initialize function, in which they can do it. It's just going to break several tests. Now, is there anything wrong with calling the initialize twice? The first thing that will be a concern if I call initialize twice, hence leaving this initialize in my app logic when spinning up a view model via the view model factory, and then calling initialize again on my bank cards page for the on appearing method, is that when I actually have a web services and a database wired up to this, there's going to be a performance hit. That's the concern. Okay. So what? So maybe initialize isn't, or maybe calling initialize on appearing, maybe that's not the best thing to do. If it is, then I would have to get rid of this initialize right here and leave it up to my automated tests and the page to call initialize on there. Does everything still build? And if everything still builds, I'm going to make sure that all my tests are green. If all my tests are green, then I'm going to delete this initialize in my view model factory and observe any of the breaking tests in my for my automated tests. So if I hit run all right now, everything should be green. Uh-oh. It's not green because of whatever updates that I made for adding a card or removing card. Removing a card results in one less card in set. Okay. And so it's saying that expected true but was false. I don't want to focus on this right now. So let's ignore this. I'll get back to it later. Should be a ignore. I should just be able to do something like that. And I'll revisit this later. Same thing over here. Removing the only card results in 0 cards. Okay. Now, why is that? Well, this removing the only card. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that right now. So run all. It should be orange. Everything should be green except for these 2 tests. These 2 tests should now be orange for being ignored. The task at hand is to see what tests are affected when I comment out this view model.initialize for my bank cards view model inside the view models factory. All right, that's coming it out. Hit run all again. The build succeeded and everything is still green. Okay. So I can delete that. And in my bankcards.xaml.cs, this initialize is being called right here. If I run this, this on appearing should get triggered. No, this view model is, let me see. This is the bank cards view model. This is being spun up. Who's spinning this up? Oh, okay. In my app.xaml.cs. Okay. This on appearing is now triggered. Okay. Hit F5. And what I want to do is add a new bank card and say that you are going to be Scott Nimrod. You're going to be a Discover. And we'll just add a whole bunch of numbers. Okay. Set the expiration month, expiration year, and something like that. When you hit add, I expect this on appearing to be triggered again. Okay. So hit add, on appearing is triggered again. Now let's step through this. Okay. So now when I call initialize again, this, I step into that query, and this is now relying on this bank cards repository, and I'll call .cards. So I step into that, and the result is 3. Okay. So if I hit F5, I should see 3 mother cards. Okay, there we go. There's an error right here. Not sure what that's about. But that's what I wanted. What is that? Well, that's what I wanted. All right. So that is done for now. In the next video, I may not even clean this up in the next video. I may clean this up offline. But I'm not sure what the next video is going to be on. But this is what I wanted. Okay, for the most part, without the cosmetic issue right here. That's what I wanted. Yep, that's it. So I'm getting off right now. If I wanted to remove this, let me see. If I wanted to remove this Discover right here, just hit remove. Yep. All right, that's it. I'm done. Peace.